Hey folks, I am just leaving the office. It's a late one. It's 7 at night. I had to do an interview. I say had to. I did an interview. The had to part. That's why I'm here. So that one ran a little bit late for me. We're going to ExperiencedDevs subreddit for this one, and I don't know what I'm going to talk about for this yet, how I'm going to answer, but I'm really hoping that we get some comments. Sorry, there's some people I was just talking with, and they were pointing at me. I'm really hoping to get some people in the comments that want to share their perspective on this. But no pressure, obviously. I just think that there's a lot of people with some interesting insights to share. And if they're comfortable doing it, hopefully it's not a lot of effort to be able to talk about it. But the question that was posted on Reddit was really around what advice do you have for your younger self? And it was specifically around, becoming a senior developer. So that transition going into senior. There was another post I saw that was if you could go back, would you be a developer? But this one was really around advice for your younger self as you become a senior developer. What would help you do that role effectively? So I thought it'd be fun to talk about. I don't know yet the things I want to talk about for this yet, so I'll probably be all over the place with it. Like I said, if you guys got some thoughts on this as we chat through it, would love to hear from you in the comments on it. And I'm sure other people would appreciate it too. So I think one of the things that comes to mind for me is and this is definitely with my manager hat on, I think, but I think a lot of people don't realize that when you start to become more senior, sort of just by definition of that, there's going to be people that are going to be more junior than you. And probably what a lot of people don't realize is that you'll have more and more people starting to emulate your behaviors. So you end up having people that will follow in your footsteps. They'll do the things that you do. The way that you, and I'm not saying everything they're an exact copy of you, so to speak, but more the behaviors that you show, other people will start to emulate those. So when we think about culture on a team or how we approach different things in our teams, the things that we value, other people will be looking up to you for those things. Other people will even subconsciously start doing the things that you do, or kind of following closer to the approach that you take, and other people that are more senior, right? Some people do this more consciously than others, where they're hey, I see what this person's doing and I admire what they're doing, and as a result, they more proactively try to emulate. But other people, it's a lot more subconscious. And in my opinion, this is the thing that I just want to draw attention to, is there's that can be really powerful in a good way or dangerous, because if there's things that you do that if you don't have awareness of them, or maybe you do and you're whatever, I don't care, other people will start to do those things more and more because you are becoming more senior, and by definition, more junior people will end up starting to emulate that behavior. So I want to try to see if I can come up with some specific examples. Why is it 7 o'clock and they are metering the highway? This is crazy. We've got to take advantage of that. Yeah, what the hell, man? It's 7 o'clock at night. I've never even seen this highway metered on my way home, even during rush hour. That's not a good sign. Okay. So anyway, some examples of what I mean are like, how do you treat code reviews? Like, what kind of feedback are people giving on code reviews? Right? Are people asking good questions? Are they trying to understand what's going on? Do they care to jump onto code reviews? Are they procrastinating on them? What's your team's culture for documentation? Does anyone write documentation? Does anyone care? There's all sorts of like little things. How do you, oh man, I don't have a good way to put this into words, but like, oh, don't you dare try to come into this lane without a signal, sir or ma'am. What's your approach for like making a safe, like it's like psychological safety, right? Like when people ask questions, is that like a thing that you welcome? Or do you make people feel stupid when they ask questions? Right? And like, it's just like all these little things that you could be doing or not doing are going to have potentially a dramatic effect over time as you become more senior. And so I just wanted, part one here is like to remind people of that people will be looking up to you and emulating your behavior. And I think, advice from my younger self that would be doing that transition, oh my God, you know what it is? It's because it's raining. And as soon as it rains, no one knows how to drive. The advice for my younger self going into seniors, is to think about that, is that if you're ever in a situation where you're thinking about how the team is, like you like being on the team or you want to influence the direction of the team, or like you care. I don't know a better way to say it. Some people, they show up to work, it's their 9 to 5, like whatever, just kind of do the tasks in front of them, and that's fine. But if you're like, I really care about what's going on here, and I don't mean to say that in a way that's like it's right or wrong to feel a certain way. I'm sorry for making it come across that way. But some people, like, they kind of want more out of work than just like, let me show up and code the things and go home. It's not wrong or right to feel a certain way on that. But if you want more out of it, like, you become part of influencing that. And I say that because I would want my younger self to realize, like, hey, there were things that you really did care about, and like you wanted to drive change and be part of that change. And I feel fortunate that I was able to do that a lot of the time, but it didn't always feel that way. Sometimes it was like, man, like it feels like climbing a mountain here, or like pushing a boulder up a mountain. Like, why am I even bothering? And I think that if I could remind myself, like, hey, you're becoming a more senior person on the team, like other people, I don't know a good way to say this, like if you're kind of, leading by example, other people will follow that. I gotta move lanes over here. This is gonna be a disaster. Give me 1 sec. Sorry, folks. How am I gonna do this? Nice. And we're behind a Cybertruck. Great. What a dumb vehicle. Yeah, I think that I would want to remind myself that, when things feel kind of challenging that way, or it feels like it might feel a little bit hopeless, is that if you do a good job leading by example, you will have other people that kind of rally behind that. I'm not saying that it happens instantly or without effort, or it's trivial or anything like that, but there will be momentum there. And I would want my younger self to know that. I think something that's important, I feel like I got a handle of this just because of where I was working and the environment we were in, but I would want my younger self to know that as you become more senior, there's sort of expectation of like the way you have to influence others needs to happen more and more. So whether that's working across teams, working with different roles and things like that, like that starts to take a different shape, and sort of to prepare for that. Which, sorry, I'm trying to change all these lanes here. Got one more to go. Still behind this cyber truck. It's like a wall. Yeah, like you're going to need to understand that, you know, parts of your job now are going to require like interacting with different roles, different stakeholders, different teams, trying to influence. And this is why I'm like, in my environment that I was in, I kind of had that because it was small. You didn't really have a choice. You kind of were embedded in that from the beginning. But if I wasn't, I would want my younger self to know that as I get more senior, I need to understand that. I need to understand that in order for me to have more impact or to work through more complex things, there's going to be an expectation that I can do that kind of those interactions more effectively. And what does that mean? Well, it means understanding your audience. Like, who are you talking to? How do you communicate to them in a way that it's going to be meaningful? That might mean like up-leveling things that you're trying to talk about. It would mean understanding how to go into more technical detail. It will mean that you're working with people that operate differently. Sorry. It's one of the reasons why the highway's slow. Someone's pulled over. It means that the more people, and you'll learn this, right? The more people you work with, the more that you realize like people are different. Right? Different personality types, people like working different ways. But like, I would want my younger self to know that. Right? It's not a cookie cutter approach. And the reason, like, just sort of like another reason why I think it's important to know that, or to have awareness of that early, is like, you might find that it's frustrating to work with some people. Right? Like, man, I hate working with Jimmy because Jimmy's a pain in the ass, and like Jimmy, like it's always frustrating because like I don't, you know, Jimmy never gets it. He's always missing things or whatever. And it's like, you know what? Like maybe how you're working with Jimmy is not effective, and maybe there's more you can do on that. And it's frustrating because you're not doing the things that you could be doing when working with Jimmy. And that's not to say that other people can't improve and get better or whatever, but you might be facing frustration because you legitimately don't know how to work effectively with certain individuals. And that's okay. So when you feel that frustration, when you're in those scenarios, like reminding yourself, hey, look, like this is a challenge that, you know, it would be great if you can work on and try to solve. And that's probably going to help you in the future for working with other people. Because it's very likely that it's not just because Jimmy's stupid or because Jimmy's malicious. It's probably because you and Jimmy don't see things the same way, or you don't understand the effective way to work with Jimmy. By the way, sorry if your name's Jimmy. I'm making you feel bad, but hopefully that makes sense, right? Like, use these things that feel frustrating as lessons to be like, hey, look, like this is an opportunity to get better. I still have this kind of shit that happens to me where I'm like, man, like I'm not going to get into the details, but I was talking to someone recently about a partner interaction, and I was like, man, like this is really frustrating for me. Like, I actually feel like genuinely insulted working with this person because of how they talk to me. And I mean this like legitimately, but I don't think that what's going on here? This person's going so slow. I need to figure this out. Come on. sorry, that person was going below the speed limit in the fast lane, and it goes down to 1 lane, so we had to get in front of them. Yeah, so working with this partner, I don't think that they're malicious, right? But like, it's frustrating enough that I need to literally remind myself, this person is not malicious. I don't think that they're a stupid person. I don't think that they're actually like a mean person. But the way that I feel when I'm working with them, it actually really bothers me. So, you know, I'm going to be 37 in another few months, so like almost 40 years old. I've been managing engineering teams for 13 years, and I'm still learning that there's people that when I work with them, I got a lot to learn, right? I haven't met everyone. I haven't met every type of personality. And instead of just being upset with someone and being like, wow, this person makes me feel like shit, or like this person makes me not want to, like, you know, work on this kind of stuff or whatever, it's like, okay, well, like, why? What's actually going on in these interactions that makes me feel this way? Right? And I think, you know, in this case, it's like sometimes I think that there's, I wanted to say like an education gap. I don't mean like this person's not educated. I mean, there's an opportunity, like as a partner to us, where I can give them information, I can educate them on how things work, not that they're undereducated. That's definitely not what I meant. So like these opportunities where it's like, hey, they probably don't understand how some of these things work. And instead of just being frustrated by that, there's a combination of like, they don't really understand. They're trying to push things forward in some direction. They're trying to do their best, and it ends up being like friction for me. Or there's an expectation on them that they need to communicate things, right? This is a really common one, actually. This is for people that have to work with others that feel like they're being micromanaged, or like, why won't this PM leave me alone for status updates, or my manager won't leave me alone? Like, having this understanding that they might have some pressure to go report status. It's not an excuse for it, but like, when we start understanding why people are doing certain things, then we can figure out how to respond to them without just feeling like everything's shitty. It's kind of the meta point. So, yeah, I think that's some advice for my younger self, is that figure out how you work effectively with different roles, different stakeholders, and different personalities. Some other advice, things change fast. Technology's always changing. So part of me, I think I've done an okay job with this, but part of me would be like, hey, look, like, keep your eyes open for things on the horizon in terms of like tech changes and that kind of stuff. Like, don't ignore it. But at the same time, like, that does not mean you have to, every month go pick up a new programming language or tech stack. Right? Like, I don't think this is the best example. Like, I don't think that I would recommend to other people, or even myself in the past, like, hey, focus all your time and attention in .NET. Like, I don't think that's actually good advice. That's mostly what I've done. Right? Because my work has kind of put me in that path, and even stuff on the side, I'm like, that's where my interest is, so I do it. I don't think it's what I would recommend. But I also wouldn't recommend to someone every month or whatever, just change what you're doing. Buddy, you gotta speed up or I gotta pass you. It's one or the other. Now we know. Okay, so yeah, there's a balance to be struck, right? And I think in hindsight, like, I've been pretty fortunate that it's worked out this way. I feel like .NET has actually evolved a lot. That's worked really well. But like, I think I would have benefited a lot from doing more web development, right? As much as I joke about, like, I don't like JavaScript, whatever, because I don't. I think it would be great if I was a lot more comfortable with it. Like, why Why wouldn't I want to be? But at the same time, you know, the joke would be, okay, well, if I went too far that way, am I just learning a new JavaScript framework every day? And the meta point being here that I think that there's a lot to be gained from understanding the fundamentals. And I think I've done a decent job of that. And that's what I would recommend to my younger self, becoming more senior, is like, awareness of shiny things is great, but you don't need to go try and learn every single shiny thing. Right? Why is that why is that thing that's shiny? What makes it shiny? Is it just because it's new? Okay, like, be aware of it. But like, is there something to learn from that? And maybe there's a lesson or something we can extract from that. Some fundamental understanding. So you don't need the shiny thing to get that, but you can understand, like, hey, the shiny thing is a good example of that. Let me see how I can apply that to different parts of my programming or software engineering. I think that's one of the lessons there. So remind myself of that. I don't know if this is a good one for me, but it probably needs to be said. Like, in terms of becoming more senior, like, advice for myself would be, like, there's more to life than your career, I think. And the reason I feel kind of challenged by that one is because I'd be a hypocrite if I, like, you know, if I didn't acknowledge that, like, still most of my time and attention is on my career, right? And it, like, full transparency, I'm not hiding it, right? Like, I am so grateful that I was able to meet who is now my wife. Like, that for me was a sort of like a big fear in my life. Like, I'm never gonna meet someone and have a relationship, but now we're together, we're married. Like, that is, and it's not like, okay, check the box, now you're done with that. No, it's like, that's still, you have to keep investing time and effort into that. That's your relationship. That is, for me, that truly is the most important thing. But when we have you know, this is conversations I've had with my wife, but like, when we talk about kids and stuff, I'm like, I actually don't think I'm ready for kids. Not because I don't like the idea of having kids. I think children would be amazing. But I don't think right now. And I say that, don't you dare. What are you doing, man? I say that because I think there's still a lot in my career that I want to accomplish. Like, I am prioritizing parts of my career more than kids. I don't think that's wrong or right or anything, but that's, like, mentally where I'm at. But I think that I would like to remind my younger self of that while I'm still earlier in my career. Not like I'm, you know, maxed out in my career or something like that, but I think I would want to give my younger self that advice. It's like, hey, just so you know, there are other things outside of just work. I think it's easy to fall into that trap. Might depend on, like, personality types and stuff. I'm not a psychologist, I don't really know. But yeah, I think that's something that I would want my younger self to know, is like, hey, look, it's great to have goals and try to progress in your career and aspire for certain things. Like, I think I would always encourage people to do that, but it doesn't just have to be a paycheck or a level. That's a lot of stupid drivers on one drive, let me tell you. This person had a full calendar year to merge into this lane and then decided last minute, shit, I should probably merge into this lane so I can get off the highway, as they're about to cut me off. But they're not going to cut me off. We're going to move away from the dumb people. yeah, I think that's about it. You know, I think there's probably a lot more. If I sat down, there's probably a lot more lessons to kind of compile, but I think those are the things that come to mind for me. And like I said at the beginning of this, I'd be super curious to see what other people have to say. I'm sure there's probably some thoughts on, like, you know, now that we see how AI and stuff is being introduced, or like the path some of us took, like whether we went to college, university, boot camps, did other career paths first, stuff like that. I think people that have different journeys through this kind of stuff will have very interesting advice to offer. I would love to hear it, and I can guarantee you, if you take some time to write a comment about it, that other people would really value it as well. So something to consider if you don't mind taking a moment to do that for others. But yeah, with that said, if you have questions you want answered on the channel, just leave them below in the comments. You can go to codecommute.com and submit a question anonymously. Be happy to make a video for you to try and answer. And then you can check out my other YouTube channels if you're not tired of my voice. If you want to learn how to program in C# or program with AI tools, you can head over to DevLeader. It's primarily programming tutorials. Otherwise, you can go to DevLeader Path to Tech if you want to see resume reviews or have your resume get reviewed. It's totally free for now. And otherwise, the DevLeader podcast is where I interview other software engineers and hear about their career journeys. It's also where I do my live streams every Monday at 7 p.m. Pacific. I would love to see you there. It's an AMA format. Come ask questions. I'll answer them live. Doesn't matter what the topic is. Usually I take a topic from this channel, Code Commute, and talk about it there. But if you just want to ask about anything else, happy to try and spend some time on that. But with that said, thank you so much. I appreciate you being here, and I'll see you in the next video.